What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jackson. Hope everyone is doing good. Hope everyone is feeling well. As for me, I'm back with some more BS.
What?
Bible swag. Now, one thing that I always like to mention, guys, is you know, I am not a preacher. I am not a pastor. I am not trying to influence you to live a certain way or do a certain thing. But I do have a lot of knowledge of the Bible. I grew up understanding the Bible, and I love to do research on the Bible, and I do it just about every day. I think it's a fascinating book. But that's it. So, my whole goal is to get what's in here, put it up here, drop it down here, and give it straight to you guys from the heart, raw, but with stupid accuracy. So, with that being said, let's get into the topic. So, as we saw in the last video, demons do control the worldly nations. And we saw that through the book of Daniel when he had that situation with Gabriel who was trying to comfort him. We saw the demon prince of Persia. We saw the demon prince of Greece. But the question that was left standing is who gave these demonic forces power amongst the nations? Well, that's one question that can be answered in the book of Luke. So if you do have your Bibles, turn into the book of Luke, chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. You see, right here, Jesus had just got baptized and he was fasting for about 40 days and 40 nights as he was in the wilderness. So he was in a very vulnerable state, both mentally and physically. And of course, this was the perfect time for Satan the devil to capitalize on that, right? So he hit Jesus with a lot of different temptations, and this is one of them. At verses 5 and 6, it says, Then the devil, taking him up on a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Now let's stop there. So the Bible mentions that the devil took Jesus up to a very high mountain and showed him all of the nations. It says in a moment of time. So yes, Jesus, he was up on a high mountain, but it's not like he was just looking down at the different cities, the surrounding cities and the surrounding nations. No. Right here, this moment of time is actually referring to a very vivid vision that the devil actually gave Jesus in order for him to see all the kingdoms and all the nations of the world along with all of their glory. So, fun fact, verses 6. And the devil said to him, All this authority I will give you, and their glory, for this has been delivered to me, and I give it to whomever I wish. So, as we can see, Satan the devil, he offered Jesus all of the different powers and nations and all of their glory. And he wasn't presumptuous in doing that. In fact, at Revelation chapter 12, verses 9, the Bible refers to Satan as the dragon, right? And at chapter 13, verses 2, it refers to the nations as beasts. Now, if you continue down in that verse, it shows that the dragon, or Satan, actually gave power to the beasts, or the nations. Power and authority is what he gave them. So we see that Satan the devil, he does have power over the nations. But then the question is, well, if the demons control the nations, then how can Satan control the nations? Well, that's a pretty good question. In fact, if you look down at Luke, the same book, chapter 4, in verse 6, Satan the devil gives a reason on how he has authority when it comes to the nations, even on top of the demons. Here's one reason that he gives. He says in the latter part, because when it comes to the nations, it has been delivered to me. So if you notice, Satan the devil is not going to any demonic power, any demonic world power, consulting, getting advice. He's not asking for permission. No, Satan the devil, he owns all of these nations. And no demon is going to backtalk to him. And what's so crazy is that as we saw in the book of Daniel, demonic forces rule in the invisible realms. All of these different nations, right? Persia, Egypt, Babylon, all of these different places, all of these different nations, right? Not just then, up until now, up until today. So, what I thought was crazy was the fact that Satan the devil offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the nations, knowing that his own demonic homies gained and owned rulership over them. He was willing to throw his demonic hordes under the bus in order to see the Son of God bow down to him in an act of worship. That would have been a feather in his cap. And that meant that Jesus would have took position of all of the worldly nations, and all of those other demons would have been pretty much down to a lower level that they've never even been before. So it's crazy how much Jesus bowing down to Satan the devil actually meant to him. And there was no protesting from the demons. There was no, you can't do this, you can't do that, not at all. Why not? Well, at Revelation chapter 12, verses 7, it refers to demons as angels of Satan. You see, not only does Satan the devil rule over the world, but he also rules over the demons. And they know that. And in fact, when it comes to the world itself, even Jesus at John chapter 14, verses 30, acknowledged that Satan is the ruler of this world. So you can sort of picture it like an apartment, a luxury apartment, right? So say you have your tenants, your property management, and your landlord. Well, imagine that our beautiful planet is a immaculate, luxurious luxury apartment, right? So the politics and the governments and the authorities of the nations, those will be the tenants. The demonic rulers in the invisible realm, they will be property management. But the landlord will be Satan the devil. And just like a landlord, he can choose who he wants to be, not only as tenants, but also as property management. Same thing when it comes to Satan the devil and the worldly nations and the demons that he put into play. You see, Satan the devil, he can decide which demonic forces he wants to put into play. Why? Look at the latter part of verse 6. How come he can? How come he could just give away these nations? Because he says, it's been delivered to me, yes, and he can give it to whomever he wishes. So if Satan the devil chooses to give it to a worldly government, he will. If he chooses to give it to a demonic force in the spiritual realm, he will. So the question is, who gave these demonic forces power amongst the nations? The answer is Satan the devil. Well, that's it for today, guys. I'm probably going to go and get some sleep because I'm a little bit tired. But if you enjoyed the content, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions or any topics for the next video, you can email me at bibleswag310@gmail.com. And remember, guys, I'm not a preacher. I just talk a lot. All right, later.